Well, we can call the meeting to order. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes of last meeting? All right. It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right. Finance, we need to approve disbursements. The packet that Steve has here for us. Are there any questions on that or a motion?
Is it on?
Yep.
Steve, what's the status of the barbecue place? Now they're missing like 3 months. We know anything that we're doing? Are we gonna end up like Wilkins?
Well, so one, they had not been in operation for almost a year prior to going up for sale. Of course, they're not open or don't plan to open right now while they're for sale, as far as I know. And so just to reiterate, that's the Oneida Landing, and it is a land lease. And so the building is privately owned and the contents are privately owned. So we derive nothing if they're not open, right? And so one of the difficulties in going back, but I will try to track down, I have marked down when I believe they stopped operating, because I frequent the area. But if they don't, I have to double check that with, to match almost like the sales tax reporting with the state, okay, to put it bluntly, because otherwise I don't know what they have brought in or if they were even for sure open to the date.
So Steve, you're saying the lease payment is based on their receipts?
The lease is based 3% of gross sales minus alcohol if they're open. Right, I mean, that obviously. So we actually have interest in making sure that there's a going concern in that building.
To me, it's just like Wilkins. I think we gotta take action ourselves, maybe with the city's attorneys, find out what to do here. We're not gonna get anywhere with them. It's just how long we're gonna put up with it.
Good.
And it seems like there should be, at a minimum on a lease like that, something that comes due, a floor. You'd have receipts, but with a floor not to be less than X amount. And I know that land lease is tricky over there, but yeah.
It's one of the only, well, probably anymore is the only one we've got like that. The Freight House used to be constructed like that, but this is one that remains.
Yeah. Dee, did you?
Yeah, you said it's for sale, so is it listed?
It is listed.
What's the price that they're?
I need to verify that. I don't know offhand. I know what I once heard, but I don't know that to be factually true. So before I answer, I need to double check that.
Again, I think that we should look at all of our options there. That to me is prime real estate. While it does have a flood issue, it's minimal. And I think we should activate. I mean, there's very few places you can sit outside on the river.
Yeah, and assuming that they did have receipts during a time period that we haven't gotten, we should certainly have a lien against any sale they would have so that we get paid out if they do have a sale.
So one of the things along those lines that I had been in consultation with legal department, Tom Warner in particular, about was the last 2 payments for taxes were owed, and I asked him if we needed to front those, and he advised, yes, that it would be in our best interest, even though he was up for sale and some of this back history, to go ahead and do that. That way, upon the sale, however that turns out, that we will. That's part of it. We will be repaid, but I did have to do that.
Okay. Yeah, we should make sure we have that as a lien that they.
Yep.
Can't just sell the going concern without that.
It ends up being this year's, September and March. He hadn't paid the tenant that is responsible for property taxes. All of our tenants are per lease agreements. I try to check that to make sure that they have and are not delinquent, and those two were left unpaid. So I did pay it on the advice of counsel.
Yeah, so maybe for the next meeting, maybe you could put together, what's the amount of the lien that should be on record so that we have some.
I will do
Some
that.
ability to get
And I
paid
will
out.
provide additional information as well. And I will try to do that even before the next meeting so that we don't have 30 days here.
I spent several luncheons with Pat Walton talking about the boathouse. And I think we kind of reached the conclusion the best thing the commission could do was get possession of the building. And then we get out of this. See, it worked before when Jim Sweet built the building and had a going concern that the percent we were getting maybe justified it. But right now we're stuck. We need to get the building somehow. And then as a commission, we can figure out what to do. Like as Dee says, it's a beautiful spot to sit outside, and we ought to take advantage of it.
Okay.
Okay,
Got
we
it.
still need a motion to approve the disbursements?
I move.
Okay, got a motion and a
Yep,
second
I got
there?
it. I got it.
All right, all in favor? Okay, next up, we have leases. The first one is Visit Quad Cities at Union Station.
That's right. So tonight, help me welcome, you want like music as you come up to the podium, Dave, but Dave Harrell with Visit Quad Cities.
You want us to?
Yes, please, and Brittany will.
Okay.
If you join him if you'd like, true, Brittany, but or as you're able to. And Dave, essentially I invited Dave and he was very happy, he and Brittany, to be here this evening, but we've got in the packet, you've got a renewal, which is for Union Station, the visitor center. I've alluded to this previous meetings, but Dave also wanted to just kind of update you on what's going on and maybe add some news to the whole thing as well.
Oh, wow, news?
About a late May.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you, Steve.
Spoiler alert, right?
There's lots of news.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you just for a few minutes. And I know you've got a very healthy agenda and happy to answer any questions that you might have. I do want to say thank you for your confidence and Visit Quad Cities to be in Union Station. We think it's probably one of the most unique assets in the Quad Cities, and I wish we would have been in there a heck of a lot sooner. But due to extenuating circumstances beyond our control, like global pandemics and how they upend business like ours, we've been value engineering what we're doing within that space. Obviously, Dee, you're familiar with that terminology, but we're going to be in there very soon. And so right now the plan is to be in there in and around Memorial Day. We're going to call it like a subtle opening, but then plan on something bigger and more grand so that we can invite not only the commission, but certainly council and anybody in the region that wants to connect with Union Station. And we're excited about it. We are not calling it a visitor center. It's more of a destination center. We've been working with Edwards Creative. I do want to thank Steve. Steve's been a great partner along this journey. Again, we were planning on being in there a lot sooner. And we're excited about kind of eventually getting back in there. And I think we'll scale it up. We've probably invested well over 6 figures into the things that we're going to put inside Union Station, and we want to make it a very activated space. So not only will it be an opportunity for us to showcase all things tourism and engage with visitors, but also residents and quad citizens. Brittany Wells on our team is our destination experience manager. Brittany will manage the venue. We will have part-time employees working. We're going through that process right now to try to figure out what that looks like. And our intent is to get to a point where we're at least Monday through Saturday. And then hopefully if the space is becoming more and more active and we can look at future hours. Doesn't necessarily mean that we're not going to have complete agility and be nimble as a business. If there are events that are happening at the Freight House and we want to do something within that space, we're going to do it. What's fun about the space is we tried to make it very convertible, so there are a lot of options. We can have functions down there. We can have meetings. We're going to, and we've actually already had a few board meetings use the conference room for various community meetings, but we want it to be a space that people can engage with. We will rent bikes out of there for free. So we've scaled that up. I think we've got maybe 15 Trek bikes. We will add more. So if people want to have access to the riverfront, we want to activate it as much as we can. And we'll start there. And if there are other opportunities to increase just different assets in and around the riverfront, then we're going to do it. We want it to be vibrant. We want it to be fun. We want it to be something that people can certainly connect with from a tourism perspective. And certainly this summer is going to be great with Viking coming online, ACL, ACQ. So I think that's going to give us a chance to like really move this thing forward. Next week, we'll formally introduce our Certified Tourism Ambassador Program. We've been working on that over the last several months. Everybody that works within that space will be certified to be a Certified Tourism Ambassador, meaning they will be high-level customer service training as it relates to all things destination. So we think it's going to be just a different service delivery for us in terms of how we engage in and around Union Station. It's something that we want this commission to be very proud of. It's something that we want this commission to use at your discretion as the owner of the venue. And it's something that we want the community to really embrace as really the hub for tourism within the Quad Cities. So we're still going to operate our office space in downtown Moline, and we'll be there for the foreseeable future. So our full-time staff will be there for the most part. We actually will open a space in Rock Island too. So we're going to have multiple spaces within the Quad Cities for Quad citizens to engage with us. And it's just a great way to kind of further our story and advance our brand and do the things that we need to do from a visitation perspective. We're grateful for the 3-year term with the Riverfront Commission. If you all decide to approve that, it is something that we are long-term committed to doing. When I started, we were in the River Center. It was something at the time I told Mayor Klipsch and Corey that we wanted to get back into Union because we felt like that was just the best place for us to be as we think about that entire asset in and around the river. And I think with the plans moving down the path, that's just going to be a great nucleus for the energy that's going to happen in and around downtown and in and around the riverfront. So we view you as not only our landlord, but as a strategic ally and partner in this process. And any ideas, suggestions that you might have, we're always going to be open to those as your partner. And again, Steve's been really phenomenal in this process, as has Clay Merritt. And Corey too. So it's been a great relationship that we've had with the city. So we're going to get back in there this summer and hopefully be there as long as you all will have us. And it is something that we are going to continue to invest in, not only with dollars, but in energy and resources, and do the things that we wanted to do to make it something you're very proud of. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have, anything that's granular that you want to get into, or offline. If you just want to have a cup of coffee and talk more about it, more than happy to do that. So with that, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. And Steve, if I missed anything, please tell me.
Does anybody have any questions on, please? Dave, we appreciate you coming in, and we're excited to have you back at the Union Station.
Thank you. I
think
wish it
that's
was center.
It's
Chair.
such a good location for that. It feels
is.
like, such an obvious connection there. It's
It is.
exciting to have it
Well,
go
thank you.
back there.
Appreciate it. Thanks for your time. Yes. Yeah, so. Well, it is a visitor center, and that's the primary consumer that will be in there, but, you know, if you live here and you want to be a part of it, we want you in there too, and it's something that we just want everybody to engage with, so. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it very much, and I'm gonna stay here for Kate too, because we love Kate.
And Steve, so we have the option, if we wanted to take action on this, we could. Is there any reason not to?
There isn't at this point, no. This is a
Anybody have any
renewal.
questions on the lease itself? Does anybody, or want to make a motion for approving it?
I'll move that we approve the 3-year lease with the Visitors Bureau, yes.
And Bill is seconded. Are there any other comments or questions on the lease? All right, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, next up, we have another lease with, I don't know,
This is
Steve-
Heartland Healing at Union Station. Very briefly, this is a tenant that, it's a renewal. A year ago, we found some space that worked perfectly for this particular tenant. This is a massage therapy tenant that was displaced from another location and was looking for some space. We accommodated. It's worked out just fine on the second floor of Union Station. So when Brittany is overwhelmed with the number of people that are coming through the destination center, she can go right upstairs and have an appointment and relax a little bit. So this is for a 1-year renewal for Heartland Healing. You don't have to necessarily act on it tonight. In fact, you know, it's fine that, you know, we wait till the next meeting. Either way, it's your call.
I move approval of the lease.
Okay?
Okay, any other questions on this one, comments? Nice to get that space leased up and keep it leased up, so I think that's a real
Absolutely.
positive. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Next, we move on to projects, starting with the Q 2030 initiative update.
Absolutely. I'm excited to have Kate Jennings, who's the executive director for Q 2030 initiative, here to join us tonight. We had a great conversation here within the last week and a half or so, and it occurred to us that it would be a really cool thing to have a bit of an update for those, maybe even an introduction of not just Kate, but the Q 2030 initiative for those of you who may be unfamiliar. But either way, an informative brief presentation, Kate.
Thank you, Steve. Thank you for having me here tonight. So Q 2030 became a standalone nonprofit in about June, July of last year. I came on board a little bit after that and have been working with my board, which Dave sits on, as a backbone champion, Visit Quad Cities, to really kind of fine tune what we would like to work on to make sure that we were making our community one that has cool places with creative people, is a connected region with a prosperous economy. So we've kind of arranged all of our work around those 4 key pillars that you may have heard Q 2030 talk about in the past. What I came to talk to you about tonight is one of our initiatives, really looking at a riverfront vision. We know that the riverfront is really our greatest asset in attracting people, for visitors and for citizens alike. And we really want to capitalize on that. That's what led me to talking to Steve and some of his counterparts in the other cities. And what we would like to do is to be able to amplify the work that you're doing, the work that all of the cities are doing on their own riverfronts, but to tie them together into one regional vision that can be exciting and shared with the public. So we'll have a few steps to getting to there. This is kind of a new thing for us that we're trying to push forward, but really hoping that later in the fall, we can bring all of the communities together to do a public presentation about what's been working on their riverfront and the features they have planned, and present it in a holistic, cohesive way, which is something that we've not seen the region do on riverfront specifically in the past. Beyond that, we would then like to start working towards this physical representation of what the full riverfront can look like from both sides and the amenities and events going on around them. That's kind of our riverfront vision. We're also getting involved in a few other things, making sure that we're a welcoming and inclusive community. Part of that will be hoping to work with our partners to pull together conversations to make sure that we're including stories of the first people on our riverfronts. So let's tell the stories of the Black communities that first populated them, the Hispanic communities, and of course the Indigenous Americans. So we think that's very important. We'll also be doing some work on childcare and getting students aligned with career work plans to get them into career pathways. But really wanted to kind of give you the overall highlight of Riverfront this evening. Happy to answer questions. And really look forward to this being an introduction to Q 2030 and continuing to work with you to improve our plan and to make it a real reality.
Anybody have any questions for Kate?
Yeah, so we're hoping that this kind of public presentation of all pieces will be kind of the kickoff, and then working towards what we actually want that visual to look like and how we fund it will be the next step from that. But I think that we'll be working towards that by the end of this calendar year, with that event really being the first big step towards that.
Well, we obviously think that the riverfront is very cool and
Yes,
an obvious,
yes,
obvious part
absolutely.
of that vision. Yeah.
And we know you have a great events going on, and so we want to really amplify those things, and certainly don't want anybody to see this as we're trying to take over your plan or to insert ourselves. We really want to be able to uplift the things that are going on and tie everybody's plans together into one exciting vision for the region.
Great. Well, we appreciate you coming in.
Thank you so much for your time.
Next on the agenda is our staff report.
Yeah, I have a couple things here I'd like to update you on. One is we had a very successful cleanup on Saturday. We had, over 100 volunteers from all walks of life, both from, the city and private industry, schools, many familiar faces on appointed boards and bodies, elected officials, and it was fun to see. I know the weather cooperated with us, so that was a huge help. I didn't know going into earlier that week what we would encounter, but having it turn 84 degrees towards the end of that day was, a gift, really, and it motivated so many people in our activities. So we were, just so you all know, we were able to collect, by my estimation, about 75 bags of trash from those that had that task. We exhausted all of our mulch, so I had to order a little bit more, and we'll be finishing that up this week. We mulched in a large area in and around the Freight House. And I'm really excited about this. Remember the initiative last year where we started painting the railing? We were able to take from the middle point of LeClaire Park and complete the painting all the way up to the boat launch, essentially at Main Street, which is amazing. And I thank some leaders here that were there helping with that initiative. Already, I've been engaged. This always happens. You hope it happens anyway, but I've talked to some folks with Our American Water and Mid-American Energy, and some, they're from last year JC's, about scheduling some work days, because now we'll take that from Main Street launch, if you will, all the way upstream to the lock and dam. And I feel like we'll be able to begin to go into Centennial Park as well, which I had kind of thought it would be next year before we get there. So I really am feeling pretty good about where we are and that initiative, and it looks incredible. So pretty happy with that. What's turning out to be an annual event. We already, for those who like to plan ahead, we've scheduled April 15th of 2023 for next year's Riverfront Refresh Cleanup Day. Also, just wanted to make you aware of an email you recently received from me about this Friday, and a kind of an announcement at the Freight House at 5 o'clock. The program's actually at 5:30, but there'll be music from 5 to 7. On the stage area on the west end, we're going to talk about a new partnership between the Freight House Farmers Market and the River Music Experience. We're involved in this as well, and some fun that new relationship and some of the fun, new, exciting pieces that are already taking shape. So if you're able to join us, please plan to do so. Wanted to make mention a couple other things here. Of course, keeping with that, a week and a day after that, May 7th is the opening of the Freight House Farmers Market outdoor season. And on that day also, there are a variety of activities, including a get out and trail event that will pass through and will be connected to the market. There's an environmental market or event happening with the market. The first several market weekends are already programmed extensively. And given some of the chatter about it, people always look forward to this time of year as well. I will also say that there will be, you're among the first to know about this, we've been working with the River Bandits for a bit of a pilot program to ensure that during market Saturdays, at the very least, there will be the amusements open that traditionally have been really only open during games. But on the 14th and the 21st of May, during, essentially 8 to 1, during market hours, there will be, the amusements will be open for folks to
Steve,
partake
I'm
in.
trying to visualize the access to that.
The
from
access-
The market.
Yes, so market, for those that may also have forgotten, market has moved, it has expanded, and because it has expanded, there's over 250 vendors signed up. They're actually almost near capacity in many ways, because again, you want to offer a variety of products and interesting items, but you don't want to necessarily inundate with all the same. And so, but it has basically moved almost exclusively into the modern Woodman Park or the stadium parking lot. And we've reserved a good portion of the Freight House parking lot where part of market used to be in for special events. So we envision when there's a petting zoo or when there's a mobile stage concert that requires some space or bigger events than that tied to the farmers market, that area works pretty well for a matter of power and some other considerations. And that's another reason why we've kind of shifted. Well, how that relates to access is that we've got vendors that are almost near Gaines Street at this point. There's shared parking in that one part in the northwest corner of that lot. But you've got market vendors all throughout. And so the likely, at least initially on the 14th and 21st, the access point per the River Bandits is through the main entrance off Gaines Street, like you'd go in for a game. And then they'll, get you inside to the amusement.
So will they
area.
have some kind of signage up or something so that it'll be apparent?
Yeah. I mean, we have
Come
to,
through. Okay.
I'm sure of that.
That's great.
And so that's a pilot program, hoping that it's well received and adequately, that it is something that could continue, because we would love to see that further animation as well, right? It seems very appropriate during market hours when there are several thousands of people on a given weekend to have that extra amusement capacity. So are there any more questions about that particular thing? Okay. Also wanted to update you on a couple of things here. I mentioned at the last meeting about the SCRA grant that we had received. We received an RDA and then an SCRA. The SCRA, Scott County Regional Authority grant, we've been reimbursed for over $12,000 from expenses. This was a $20,000 grant last year for Riverfront refresh programming specifically. We received RDA and SCRA money for the same. And I was able to, we have that, it's a reimbursement basis. We've received that check, and we've been granted a extension to be able to utilize the balance, which is some $7,800 or so. And so we have 3 additional months, which within about a month more, 2 months more, we'll be able to have the time necessary, because otherwise the time would have ticked off without the extension. And so they just met late last week on their regular monthly board meeting, and that was a request that they considered, and I've gotten the official letter that says we have the extension, the 3-month extension. So we'll be able to, the sum and total of that is, we'll be able to fully utilize the entire $20,000 grant that we were awarded for the programming, which is
news.
good.
Yep.
Okay. And then just want to let you know, we're continuing to work on the Hello Lamppost initiative. And so I met with DRB last night, the Design Review Board, who obviously we thought it would be important step to let them know about the initiative, and to since we're talking about some signage, and even though it isn't necessarily in the right of way and sort of something that has to have direct approval for, I talked with staff, and we wanted to make sure that we communicated what the initiative is about and how we're wanting to move forward, and not gaudy up, with some ugly, signage or whatever, but instead something that is a little more temporary / permanent. Temporary in the way that the initiative goes, but permanent in the way that the signage might look and feel, maybe even banner looking. So there might be a small additional investment required, but we'll be assured that the look will be something that people will appreciate and be hopefully inspired to participate in this Hello Lamppost initiative. So I just wanted to let you know about that. And I think that probably is all for now.
So Steve, I don't know if you want to talk at all about the Main Street Landing,
Yep, certainly.
the meeting, interviews, I guess,
Yeah.
on the potential for who might lead that for the city. When we had the opportunity to sit in on those, and I think that's important for the commission.
So
to
I
talk
don't
about.
feel like we can make news now with the actual person, or firm, but I will tell you that consensus has been reached after multiple sessions of interviews. We had initially 12 firms that responded to an RFQ, a request for qualifications. We interviewed 5 after doing among the group, a initial review of all of the applications, or the portfolios really, that were submitted. This is not necessarily this is to look at what they're capable of, and the fit with us, the envisioned fit with us, with what our project, what we're envisioning, and who we believe have most faith that we believe we can get there together with. It is not, we weren't looking for the design right now. I just want to make that clear. We were looking to recruit someone to help us through a public engagement process, and then create that together as a community. So we interviewed 5. We were able to winnow that field to 3 just yesterday, and from that, there is a consensus around the individual, and I believe council, and that's why I'm not going to say here, because council needs to see that, before it goes anywhere, and consider that for the next step forward. And so, providing that occurs, I think that's probably coming up in next cycle or so. And I think that this firm will hit the ground running. That's every expectation to do so, and that we, through myself and your chair, we're part of this selection process, will continue, the Riverfront Improvement Commission will continue to have a key role in this process.
Yeah, and I think that's something where the commission will have some conversation about, what are the things we want to take forward to,
Yes.
Any of those meetings that we're involved in that might be before maybe some of the public input, just so we kind of know what's on the priority list for the commission when we're thinking about aspects to Main Street Landing and how that gets developed out, and what what are the wow factors that we might be looking for, and
Exactly.
sustainability questions, and all of those great things that are going to matter to us as a commission.
Yeah, I will tell you, the thing that I'm going to push constantly from a commission standpoint, I think you will probably back me up on this as well, I hope. But is that this, I think it undervalues the initiative if we continuously refer to this as the playground or a play area or something like that. I mean, it is, and I think it'll come out through the upcoming process, but it is much designed and thought to be much more than that. And it's not just something, because it's too easy for someone to then say, that's a lot of money, I could have 10 playgrounds. Well, that's
playground,
right. Well, it's not a playground per se. There's a larger connection, vision through the riverfront and in this section and beyond. And so I think once that is better articulated and appreciated through a public engagement process, that will at least assist.
Yeah, I think that's really important. And when you think about some of the great riverfronts, if you've had the chance to visit, some of the places like Louisville and Cincinnati and, places that really do some great things on the riverfront. And yes, there are play areas that kids can be involved in, but there's also great multi-generational activities that are done and things that really just engage and make the riverfront a destination.
That's right.
Not just for visitors, but for the people who live there, full time, and thinking about how, we are part of that conversation and what are the things that can really help create that value on the riverfront.
That's right.
Bill, did you have?
Steve, would you, for the next meeting, find a way to summarize the agreement that Heller has when we put the Ferris wheel up? Because every time I go down there, the Ferris wheel isn't operating. And I think it only operates when there's the ball team. But I don't think that was the agreement when we agreed to put the Ferris wheel there. And I can't answer questions when they say, why isn't it operating? And first of all, I'd like to know what the answer should be.
Okay, happy to.
Okay, anything else for you, Steve? Any questions that folks have?
Go ahead.
Dee, go ahead.
Steve, maybe for the next meeting, you could look at the upcoming capital improvements and kind of tell us where they are and like what has happened with our flood project. I keep thinking they're moving in. Next year, we can have a flood. It would be, it seems to have been on hold a long time. I don't know if it's gotten approved, kind of where we are. And then who is managing that communication
On the
with the
flood
beds?
project?
Yeah, so
okay.
if you could talk a little bit more about that the next time, it'd be great. Thanks.
You bet.
And I don't know, we may, by the next meeting, have an update on the CP situation. To the extent that that's possible, that will be a good time to also just kind of do an update on where we are with the railroad and the negotiations. And I know there's a lot of sensitive things going on, so we're not going to find out anything out of order. But to the extent that there is something, maybe we can add that too.
Absolutely.
Okay, that brings us to the Parks report.
Yeah, we had a presentation by the Operations Division, which is one of the main 3 divisions, I believe, of Parks, and a lot of facts, like the fact that there are 10 seasonal mowers over the entire season will mow 12,000 acres of lawn, and their 4 to 5 seasonal custodians deal with 15 restrooms and 2,500 trash cans over the various parks. And part of what they're working on is a program called Cartograph that'll allow them to track per park how much they're spending on everything to do with that park, which certainly could be of interest to this group as we're paying them to, or you're paying us, or however. As a liaison, I'm involved in both sides, but and then they talked about their training, safety and training officer, Tom Franks, and he's got a new safety program, and they said they've cut their recordable injuries from around 45 per 6 months to 4 to 5 per 6 months. So 90% cut in recordable injuries is a pretty big deal, and that's the kind of cost savings to the city that should help maybe if we can, get to council and point out these sort of savings, maybe it can unlock some more money for both this group and parks. And then in the news, you may have seen that some parks are going to be getting free Wi-Fi, and one of those is Centennial Park. And then since Commissioner Churchill is not here, we were told at our meeting that the Veterans Memorial Park groundbreaking will be May 5th. I don't know if I've heard that that's when it will be, so maybe there'll be further news in the next week or so before that comes up. I think they're going to be starting possibly even before that, but that was the first day where the Friends group was going to be available for an official groundbreaking. So more info, hopefully publicly to be released.
Okay. Thank you, Chris. We appreciate that. I don't know if we have any public with business today. Doesn't look like it. So unless there is anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn. All right. Our next meeting is May 24th. Okay. Thanks, everybody.